to break the matrix at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. And listen to The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down, and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system, or call 1-888-253-3139.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139. Alex Jones here. For the last 2 years, I've been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to design a nutraceutical formulation that has truly life-changing health benefits. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Visit InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Anytime Congress starts getting out of line, the globalists will just burn a few House or Senate members, and then everybody basically runs for the hills and doesn't argue with their marching orders. Back in 1989, Tom Brokaw reported on the scandal that Henry W. Vinson, our guest, was part of. Here is that report.
And if Washington doesn't have enough to talk about these days, the Washington Times reported today that unidentified White House aides in the Carter, Reagan, and Bush administrations now are being investigated for using the services of a call boy ring. The paper reports that 2 of the male prostitutes were given a late-night tour of the White House last year. The White House press secretary, Marlin Fitzwater, said he knew nothing of this investigation. NBC's Lisa Myers reports her sources in the U.S. Attorney's Office say the investigation is not focusing on prostitution, but on fraud involving the use of credit cards to pay for the call boy services.
There you go. Let's go back to Henry W. Vinson and his co-author, Nick Bryant. Henry W. Vinson is a known, admitted major gay madam who was operating then, and who the CIA basically used to set people up with, I guess, unbeknownst to him. And that's the rest of the story of how they use this NSA-type grid to totally control everybody and then manipulate our morals as a way to bring in a total tyranny Henry W. Vinson, I mean, hit the key points here, because you've already covered some bombshell info, but I don't want to encumber you from really telling the public the meat of what you want to get at.
Well, I just want to talk about blackmail. What an integral role that blackmail plays in the American political process, and that it usually doesn't come out until years after the fact. And when I was in the escort business, I had clients such as William Casey, Charles Dutcher, Paul Ballack was the Labor Secretary, Elizabeth Dole's political personnel liaison, Larry Craig. So I think that's circular. I think it was going on before I got there, and I think it's still going on.
Well, sure. And again, people say, I don't want to hear about what people do sexually. The issue is that it's being used to blackmail people, and that's how special interests are in control today. From what you know, are things better today or worse?
Well, I think it's just a constant. Kingdoms, empires, syndicates, unscrupulous groups have all deployed blackmail since time immemorial. And blackmail has played an integral role in the political process for hundreds of years. So blackmail was going on before Henry ran his escort service. It was going on while Henry was running his escort service, and it's going on well after Henry left the escort business. So, and it's going on today, there's no doubt about that.
Is there any way to stop this? Is there any way to reverse this? Because if people can be blackmailed, or in the case of the IRS, just intimidated into going along with things, special interests will be able to basically create a total tyranny.
Well, the problem with that is people have to be edified. Blackmailing of our politicians is a disease that's within our society. It's like a cancer that's eating away at our society. And the only way that you can get rid of a disease is by diagnosing it. And Americans just are not aware that their political system is being co-opted by blackmail. They're not aware of it because the media doesn't report on it. And a number of people that used Henry's escort service were high flyers in the media. So, and I've written in this area for a number of years, and definitely the people that are the highest targets for blackmail are politicians and also people in the media, because you need a compromised media to cover up for the malfeasance that's going on in the government. If we had a media that told the truth, then Americans would just hit the streets in droves, and things would change at that point.
Henry Vinson, did you ever know the D.C. madam, or what did you think of her case?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Henry, did you know the D.C. madam, or what's your take on her case?
No, I didn't know her, but I am familiar with her because she operated years after the fact. We both ran escort services in Washington, D.C., and both of us were dubbed the D.C. Madam. The federal government subjected both Ms. Palfrey and me to a crucible that was designed to ensure our silence or ultimately crush us. Ms. Palfrey was merely running an escort service when the Justice Department smacked her with a 14-count RICO indictment, and I was walloped with a 43-count RICO indictment. So I was potentially looking at 295 years behind bars. And I think Ms. Palfrey became overwhelmed by the Justice Department's crucible, and she was unwilling or unable to cope with the government fleecing her of all of her money and status and depositing her in federal prison. So I think the government is very effective at silencing people when they are out to do so.
Break down.
People in the know.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick Bryant.
They're very good at silencing people in the know. Deborah Jean Palfrey, I think that Henry was much more aware of the blackmail that was going on than Deborah Jean Palfrey, because the Department of Justice came after her with a 14-count RICO indictment, whereas they came after Henry with a 43-count RICO indictment. He was looking at 295 years in prison. And the government said to him, if you keep your mouth shut, we'll give you 5 years, but if you talk, we will put you away for the rest of your life. So I think Henry's information was probably far more damaging than the information that Deborah Jean Palfrey had. And conspiracy silence that documentary that's been suppressed, but I'm sure that you've seen it.
Sure, I was the first person to be sent it about 18 years ago when it didn't air on Discovery Channel. I aired it on local access television, so I'm fully aware of it. Why don't you fill in, as an investigative reporter, Nick Bryant, who's written books on this subject, the level below, or I guess you could say above, even nastier, in fact, many times more nastier, because I personally am for the decriminalization of prostitution, not because I even endorse it, but because I'm a libertarian. I know it only creates corruption. The pimps want to keep it illegal. You know, sunlight is what disinfects things. But when it gets into the underage people and even children, talk about that.
Well, Craig Spence, in addition, he spent $20,000 a month on escorts from Henry's escort service, but he also employed female escorts. But he also provided children, too, and I've written a book about that. And Craig Spence provided D.C. power brokers with whatever they wanted. If they wanted young men in their 20s or young women in their 20s, they'd be provided with young men or young women. But if they wanted young children they'd be provided with that. They'd also be provided with drugs. When you read Henry's book, you'll see that the art of blackmail is really down to a science. Spence would have parties, and there'd be power brokers at his parties. Henry talked about the power broker cocktail parties earlier, where the people in the administration would be at these parties. People in Congress would be at these parties. Ted Koppel, William Safire, high flyers in the media would be at these parties. And they would start out as like straight cocktail parties, and people would be getting lubricated on alcohol. And maybe at around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, somebody would maybe break out some cocaine or something sexually inappropriate might happen. And at that point, people that were freaked out by it would leave, and those who wanted to stick around, the serious customers, they'd be compromised. They'd be given whatever they wanted, and then they'd be compromised. And that's how this system works. Is that it's essentially a honey trap, and Henry was compromised firsthand. Craig Spence was asking Henry about his escort service, and he ultimately motioned Henry into a closet, which had a trap door, a secret door behind the closet, and there was a bunch of monitors in this secret room, and Craig Spence hit a couple of buttons, and Henry saw himself talking about his escort service. So anybody that was even talking about illicit things in Craig Spence's home, like Henry, was susceptible to being blackmailed.
Now, that's the CIA with stuff 25, 30 years ago. Imagine with the eye of God, as they call it, these systems that can dial into all your smartphones, all your computers, all your appliances, track what you're doing, or plant things in the digital record, what they're doing with this. This is just unbelievable, and it's so criminal. It's so antithetical to a free society. And with the election season coming up, remember, when they bring up all these private scandals, they're total diversions from the policies. Hi, I'm Alex Jones. When I got on air 20 years ago, I weighed 180 pounds. I lift weights 5 days a week. I could swim 2-3 miles. Then I discovered the New World Order, the globalists, their agenda. I started an access television show. I was so dedicated to my work and hanging around with radio guys that I began drinking. I began smoking cigars and then even cigarettes. I transformed from looking like a white Bruce Lee to looking like a Jabba the Hutt. So I began a journey 5 years ago to shed the almost 100 pounds. I started taking Super Male Vitality and saw dramatic results in just a few weeks. When I added to the mix the key products developed by Dr. Group for InfoWarsLife.com, the results were incredible. Take the InfoWarsLife.com challenge today at InfoWarsLife.com or give our crew a call. They can answer all your questions or tell you about any of the specials at 888-253-3139. In the near future. When you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media operations.
We let the worst people get control and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime Directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
A popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.